Hello, beautiful people! Welcome to Wisdom Bites. My name is David Jarzinka, and this is Father Craig.
And I'm Father Craig, and this is David Jarzinka.
And this is Father Craig Fridays.
Whoa, welcome. Yeah. Glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad we're here.
Yeah. Welcome. I'm glad that you're listening and watching. Oh my, here we go.
Mic drop.
Yeah, it's fine. We're good. Today is Father Craig Fridays. We already said that. We're spilling things on the floor. All right.
At this point in life, we should be better at the intro by now, don't you think? We just do the same thing every week. We should practice it or something. I don't know.
That might not be a bad idea.
No, we should just... Maybe that was practice.
Yeah.
No, that was it. That was it. Let's go on. All right. We're here to answer your questions and to talk about God and things and stuff. So glad you're here, and we're gonna have lots of fun.
Yeah, and we recently got in just a flood of questions. So
excellent.
So this episode and the next couple of episodes are going to be just all viewer submitted questions.
Yes, nailed it.
Got it. I just read a thing on Facebook that said, your first podcast will be bad. Your first video will be bad. Your first game will be bad, but your 50th one might not be. So here we are on episode 65. And we're still figuring things out.
Yeah.
So
it might not be. It might not be. It doesn't guarantee it won't be. That's good. All right.
But okay, here we go.
All right.
So Father Craig, just to start things off, have you ever had any funny mass experiences?
I've got two for you.
Oh yeah?
I do. Okay. So first one was not me celebrating the mass. Back when I was in college, the priest was praying the mass, and a good holy man. And we get to the part where it is a daily mass, where you lift up the gifts. You say, "Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation. Through your goodness receive the bread we offer you." And instead of that, he says, "Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which you're about to receive." And he pauses and he stops and he looks right. That's not right. So he says the prayer before meals, which seems fairly appropriate to me, which is pretty good. And then that was a good one. The other one I thought was hilarious. At St. Elizabeth in Pflugerville, we had an English mass as the vigil, the 5 p.m. Saturday evening mass. And the choir that week had chosen to sing a song in Spanish as the opening hymn for the English Mass, and it was Resucitó. So it goes, Resucitó, and then they're singing it, and people are looking around very confused. They're thinking to themselves, I thought we were at an English Mass today, and the song is in Spanish, and so they're very confused. And so I get up there, and I'm going to go with it. En el nombre del Padre y del Hijo del Espíritu Santo. And I go, just kidding, In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so that felt really good because everyone laughed really hard, and I did too. So it was great.
That's awesome. Wow.
That was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, okay. I was a little scared with what you're going to come up with. Those are two really good answers. I love that.
I know. Fun things.
Yeah, see, we did all sorts of bilingual music growing up, though. So, interesting.
It wasn't a bilingual song. It was a Spanish song.
Right. But so we'd have during the 10 a.m. mass, we'd have English and Spanish verses, and sometimes it would just be all in Spanish. It was just kind of whatever the choir director was feeling that day, he'd just go with it.
It's fine. It was very confusing to me and to others.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I thought I was at an English mass. Do I have the right missal today? Do I have the words in Spanish? I don't know.
That'd be tough.
So it's good.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Those are good things. Okay. So Father Craig, we've got a really good question today.
All right.
That I think, should we start saying who these are coming from or no?
Probably not the decision to make in the moment.
Yeah, we will make it right now. But I know who this is, and I'm excited that they sent this question in.
Okay.
So thank you for your submission. Alrighty. So it says, I'm going to read it word for word here. Okay. So let's say one of your friends gets a job they wanted working for a Protestant organization, or someone you love starts getting more into their faith, but it's at a Protestant church.
Okay.
What is the appropriate response or affirmation, if any? And there's a little addendum here. It says, this is something I struggle with because I want to be charitable and celebrate the fact that they are trying to draw close to the Lord, but I don't want to encourage false belief. What do you think?
What do I think? Well, I would have a couple of questions surrounding it. So it would depend, I think, on a couple of things. So where this person is in their Catholic faith. So I'm presuming this is a Catholic working at a Protestant organization, or is it a Protestant working at a Protestant organization?
I think we could deal with both questions.
Okay. So let's say it's a Catholic working at a Protestant organization.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's do the easy one first. A Protestant working in a Protestant organization, good on you. Right? Congratulations. You've got a job, and you have to do the hard work of making sure that your morals and values and beliefs line up with what you do so you can be a person of integrity, right? And so you would sort of talk to your friend as you would anyone who's not a Catholic, leading with love, looking for opportunities to share the fullness of truth and affirming the things that are good about that. So belief in Jesus Christ, that's a great thing. A belief in the redemptive power of God, that's fantastic. A love for Holy Scripture, that's excellent, right? Those are all great things. And so we can affirm the things we have in common. We can love the person, be in good, authentic relationship with them, and look for opportunities, to ask questions and to offer the fullness of truth, which is found in God's one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, right? And you never want to adopt the attitude of triumphalism, where you sort of are like, we are the best and we are so awesome and there's nothing wrong over here and these sorts of things. It's not about that. It's about offering to people the fullness of God's gift that he wants to give and the means by which he wants to give it, right? Okay. Now let's say it's a Catholic who's working in a Protestant organization. I would ask, where is that Catholic in their faith? Are they at risk of losing their Catholic faith? If they are firm in their Catholic faith and they see this as an opportunity to work in a place where they can do something that they generally believe in, right? This is the second thing I'd ask is, what is that position, right? So obviously, if you are a Catholic joining a Protestant church as their pastor, that would be bad.
Yeah.
That would not be good because you wouldn't be able to preach the fullness of the Catholic faith, right? And you would sort of have to hold that back. If you're going to be there as, let's say, you're a licensed counselor and you're on staff as a licensed counselor, I don't particularly see a problem with that. If you are working in it to help them become an expert at something like marketing, for example, that wouldn't be much of a problem either, so long as you're not compromising your Catholic beliefs and you're really helping them to perfect the content that they're doing. Now, if their mission is to go out and convert Catholics away from the Catholic faith, well, then you might have some conflict there, because obviously that's something that you would not align with.
Right.
Whereas if they're really trying to build up their community in love for Jesus Christ and love for neighbor, and they're not particularly anti-Catholic or hostile to our Catholicism, I think it'd be perfectly feasible for a Catholic to work in a Protestant church, in a Protestant environment. It might be better for that Catholic to find work in a Catholic church doing what they know and love. However, that's not always available or feasible or how should I say this? Competitive in its pay.
I was going to say lucrative.
Yeah. Lucrative, right? So that's certainly something to consider. But I don't necessarily see it as a problem per se to work in a Protestant church, so long as you're not compromising your Catholic faith and values. And so you, as their friend, should probably support them, ask some of those questions, again, we want to be very careful about removing the splinter from my brother's eye before removing the log from my own, right? And so we don't want to presume what we know the right answer is. We don't want to presume that we have the exact rightness of it all. That's something to be seeking the truth together with others, and not to sort of be presumed that I am the dictator of what is true and good and wonderful and all these sorts of things. And so we look to Christ, and we look to the teachings of his church, and we look for, what does it mean to live our Catholic faith? And sometimes that can be done in that sort of context, and other times you would have to be careful because you might have to compromise your Catholic faith there, and that would be a danger for us.
Yeah. Gotcha. I have a friend of mine who was very involved in a Protestant organization, and then he was baptized Catholic and was sort of coming back to the Catholic Church, but then he'd already signed up for a mission trip, had realized the truth of Jesus in the Eucharist. Okay. And so he was on this Protestant mission trip, and realizing that he had part of the gospel to offer, right? But there was sections of it that sure. Yeah, because of his role as, this foreign missionary for, a week or two, that he couldn't give the fullness of what he wanted to give.
Yeah, right? and that's something really to consider. That's worth considering, because I obviously want to give the fullness of the Catholic faith, and sometimes it's sometimes, and this is, I do not mean to say this as derogatory in any way, but sometimes we do some of these ecumenical events where we're praying with our brothers, we consider them separated brethren, right? And we're doing these prayer services and we're trying to celebrate what we have in common. And yet it's, in a certain sense, interiorly, I'm heartbroken because we can't share the fullness of what that communion is. And it is heartbreaking because the Lord prays that all might be one, as the Father and I are one. He prays this for his followers, that they would have this unity, and yet that unity is lacking in a certain sense. And so there is something disheartening about that. That's not to say that we shouldn't celebrate what we do have in common, but we don't want to celebrate the fact that we're all different, and that's okay. That's not actually true. That would be wrong, right?
It's a bad thing to celebrate. Yes.
Because the truth is that we want to know, love, and serve the Lord as He wants to be known and loved and served. And the way that He has intended that is by instituting a church, and that church is, in our belief, we believe it to be the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church.
Yeah. Well, very good.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think that covers both sides of the question. That if it's a Protestant doing this in a Protestant organization, like, great. It's a good thing that they're striving for the Lord and doing something that they want to do. And if it's a Catholic, that there may be some roles that, like, maybe like as the religion teacher at a Protestant school, like that might be a tough one too.
It could be a tough one, but it might also offer opportunities. And this is the thing that, for example, if you're going to teach the religion at a public school, right, you might, that might be actually a really great way of evangelization. So you present all those things that are there, and you sort of show how those arguments interact with each other, and you certainly could do that. And I know professors who do this in a public setting for things like, I won't name that because they do it in a public setting here at the university. And so the way that they do that is they do present all the things that they're supposed to present, but they're able to answer the objections of various things from the Catholic perspective in a way that's very convincing by reason to people and brings them to an openness to the Catholic faith they lacked before. And so there actually is sometimes a great avenue for this. And so long as the Catholic is strong enough in their faith and the reason to be able to do some of these things, it might be a great role in order to bridge some of that gap. And that would be wonderful. And there's an opportunity there. But I think often the case is that someone might go into this situation without sort of thinking about it, find themselves listening to these arguments, but not really being at the place in their faith where they can, have a good apologetic for their Catholic faith. And they might find themselves either drawn away from their faith or give bad witness, perhaps, to the Catholic faith, and do some harm there as well. And so we need to consider all those things. Or maybe it's that we're not able to give the fullness, and so that makes us feel a certain lack. So I want to be somewhere where I can offer the fullness of faith.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm thinking back to my ethics professor in college that, like he gave all of the arguments from a secular point of view, and it was very clear that he was very pro-choice. It was very clear that he did not hide his own sentiment or his own opinions in the classroom. That that could be a really cool opportunity. Now, if it's in a different denomination, a different church, I can see how maybe the administration be upset. Okay, you're teaching Catholic things in a Baptist school,
Yeah, this would be a problem. For example, if I, were to be the pastor of a parish with a Catholic school, it would be a challenge for me. If I would think that I think the religious exemption within our constitutional amendment allows you as a religious organization to be discriminatory in the sense that you would hire someone, you wouldn't hire someone who's not a Catholic to teach Catholic faith. And so, let's say, though, I were to hire someone who's a Protestant into a position in a Catholic school, I would expect them to be adherent to the Catholic faith and morals and not to teach anything contrary to that. Let's say they're a counselor, for example, and they're a Protestant. Maybe they're a great licensed counselor, and I would use them for that purpose. But, them sort of purporting things or saying the Catholic Church's teaching isn't true would be grounds for me to expel them from the organization because they have a ministerial role, right? They actually are an extension of the ministry of myself as the pastor in their role. And so this is sometimes we see it come up in the public sphere where someone's not living the Catholic faith, and so they're released from their position, and you see a bunch of opposition to that. Oh, how dare they? They're being discriminatory. Well, the person isn't actually representing the Catholic faith, and so that's a problem for an institution that's Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And so luckily our laws are written in such a way that that's permissible.
Yeah.
Which is good because we want to keep the Catholic faith. And I imagine if you're a Baptist school or Methodist school or Lutheran school, you'd want to do the same. And so obviously that Catholic wouldn't be appropriate for the Catholic to teach the Catholic faith there because the institution is not purporting Catholic values and doesn't believe those things. Now, we believe this to be the fullness of truth. But if I were to work there, I would have to accept that position knowing that I'm representing that and that it's not my own and that I wouldn't be able to teach those things.
Yeah.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, that would be a serious interior dissonance, I think.
Yeah, it's a really tough one.
Yeah. So, well, cool. I hope this answers your question well. I think we've gone through as many different avenues with this as we can. If you have a question, you're listening to this and you have more questions, please send them in to podcast@txstatecatholic.org. And be sure to follow us on our Instagram @OLOWTXState to keep up with all the great stuff going on here at Our Lady of Wisdom. And with that, I think that's all we have time for today.
All right. Our Lady of Wisdom.
Pray for us.